All right, so let's talk about some fun stuff. You have been in many different places, from cooking to creating software to creating all these neat things. Where do you think the new space for Gen AI is heading? Where do you think that like kind of new exciting place is going to be in products?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I'd say there's two trends that I think are really interesting looking at Gen AI. And most everything I've done has been consumer facing. So I'm always looking at like direct to consumer. Within the world of SaaS and enterprise, there's so much interesting
Sure.
stuff happening around verticals. I think the first is around this whole notion of vibe that we talked about earlier. So imagine every creator experience on the web, every sort of application, whether you're doing an architectural diagram, whether you're doing a design, whether you're designing a landscape, fashion, whatever, now has a vibe modality, right? So that's one area we're seeing a lot of investment. We're also seeing just a number of startups emerging, particularly in very vertical applications, like using Gen AI to do HVAC planning in your house, right? Using Gen AI, used by specialized contractors, right? So it's not just the vibe modality, it's the vibe modality, but you still have all the other workflows around it. I think the second bucket, for better or for worse, is more of a cultural phenomenon. And I think that's very much around people conversing with people. And
Mm.
so we are seeing a number of applications that are reinforcing a common behavior, which is people are increasingly more comfortable communicating with AI than they might be communicating with real people themselves. And what sort of opportunities does that create? So I'll give you some examples. We're seeing Waymo just grow astronomically, right? I think it's already overtaken Lyft in San Francisco at least, and it's on path to eventually overtake Uber. Why is that? People are paying more for a Waymo than they're paying for an Uber, but there's nobody in there, right? There's
And
that
we have Zooks here in
yeah,
Vegas.
there's that social anxiety around like, oh, there's somebody there. I have to be presentable. Just the fact that there's a physical person there, right? Within the sales arena, Jason Lemkin, who runs SaaStr, on one of his podcasts was literally talking about some of the work they've done with AI chat on their website. And what they found was the people who are engaging with AI chat love it. Why? They can ask all sorts of questions, both the business related questions as well as technical questions, where normally you'd have to go and say, I'd get back to you on that. Two, it's
Right.
always available. And three, it's very easy to say no. Like you're not worried about hurting someone's feeling, right? And so very sort of interesting seeing that. And you're seeing that also apply in the voice modality, right? Then you're seeing things like character AI, where it's now probably a top 20 visited destination in the world, which is effectively a place where you can communicate with chatbots, and people are building relationships with chatbots, and people are reinventing, or maybe that's not the right word. I was going to say revitalizing, but their grandparents. Maybe that's not the right word either, right? But they're effectively having these conversations. Now, I'm not judging, by the way. I'm just sort of calling out a macro cultural trend that I'm seeing.
Sure.
But it's fascinating to see in three different arenas, people increasingly engaging with AI,